It's time to share secrets and insights from fellow entrepreneurs. If you're looking to grow or start a business and you're a game changer, then keep listening to Avanti Entrepreneur for great advice from your host, Dave Mammano, America's Entrepreneur Coach.
Hey, Avanti Tribe, Dave Mammano here. Just want to thank our sponsor, Paychex. You know, Paychex, they make it simple for businesses of all sizes to pay and manage their team. They make payroll easy with employee pay options, including direct deposit, checks, pay cards, and so much more. Founded over 4 decades ago to relieve the complexity of running a business so that the owners can focus on what matters most. Above all else, and more than any other company, Paychex makes it simple. Visit AvantiEntrepreneurGroup.com. Go to our partner link and check them out. They're offering you a free month of payroll just for giving them a shot as an Avanti Tribe member. Give them a shot, folks. They really help this podcast to be possible. Really appreciate Paychex. Now, enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast. I am Dave Mammano, your host, and I am here to help entrepreneurs and movers and shakers and leaders move forward so that they can reach their potential. I do this by interviewing great business movers and shakers. Today I have on the show a great guest. His name is Jim Johnson. I'm going to call him Coach Jim Johnson. In fact, I just might call you Coach. So Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, David.
Really appreciate you being here. You just happen to be a local, great Rochester guy, but you're known around the country, if not the world these days. And it all goes back to a miracle night. So instead of reading your really impressive bio, which I think is like 4 pages long, I'm gonna read this excerpt from the miracle night that you wrote, and then that was really a pivotal few minutes for you, right? That really changed not only your life but one of your players' life. A guy named J-Mac. So I'm going to read this. It's called The Miracle Night by Jim Johnson. On the night of February 15, 2006, the bleachers at Greece Athena High School near Rochester, New York, were packed with students who had just begun cheering wildly and jumping up and down. During that same moment, I collapsed into my seat and tears welled up in my eyes. Never before had I made a coaching move with such impact. Never had I felt such emotion in my career. You'd think we had just won the championship. Now, this may seem like a fairly ordinary moment, but Jason wasn't your ordinary basketball player. He was small. He was skinny. He stood all of 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed only 120 pounds, and his blonde hair was partially covered by a headband. Jason is an autistic boy. The odds were against us, and a miracle unfolded before our very eyes that night. Wow. Love it. So that being said, Jim, tell us that story. Who is Jason, and what the heck happened that night?
All right, so back in 2003-04, Jason came to our program. Jason's on the autism spectrum. He's also learning disabled, and he wanted to play basketball as a sophomore, tried out for our JVs, didn't make the team, was their team manager. Then for 2 years, I was the varsity coach at Greece Athena High School, a suburb of Rochester. He tried out for my team 2 years in a row, and what really touched my heart was certainly Jason had some disabilities, but he had a lot of abilities and he had a huge heart. He was so loyal to our program. So he would come to all our off-season workouts, and he really wanted to make the team. Although he wasn't a very good basketball player, he became a really big part of our program. So I offered him the team manager's job his junior year. He embraced that. And a little side note, I had been a fairly successful coach, but we kept losing the semifinals. So Jason was going to help change that. And he developed a mantra his junior year called Stay Focused. We're going to help coach win his first sectional championship. Well, we lost in the semifinals. Now, actually, for the 6th time in my career, Jason came back more bound and determined his senior year to make the team and to help us win our first sectional championship. Well, I told him when we had tryouts his senior year that I was going to give him a gift, although he wasn't quite good enough to be on the team, that I was going to offer him a uniform for senior night, our final home game. And we had a lot of strife that year, unexpectedly. We expected to be really good. In fact, I wrote a book about it called A Coach and a Miracle. But we finally overcame that strife, and we got things turned around. We had a pretty good end of the year's season going into senior night, which was on February 15th, 2006. February 13th, I gave J-Mac his first uniform. There was a rumor going around school that he slept in it for 2 nights in a row. I don't know if that was true, but he was definitely excited. So that game started on senior night. One memory that I will always cherish to see Jason actually embrace his parents in uniform instead of his normal white shirt and black tie that he wore during games as a team manager. Well, the game begins, and we had a really good student body following. You could see the YouTube video on ESPN or also on my website, CoachJimJohnson.com. But what happened was after 3/4 of the game, I'd gotten everybody in but J-Mac. So with just over 4 minutes to go, I decided the time is right. I wanted to get him in with enough time, so I was hoping he could score a basket.
What was the score at the time?
The score, we were up by about 20 points. And the interesting thing is after that game, because of all of Jason's performance, who I'll talk about very quickly in a moment, we ended up winning by over 30 because he went crazy.
Wow.
We got in the game, and the place just exploded. And normally I'm a pretty macho guy. I usually don't try to cry at basketball games, but this overwhelmed me to see how the students embraced him. And what Jason and I didn't know is one of our parents had made these pictures, these placards of Jason's face and put them on paint sticks. And the 6 men, our student body, showed them when Jason entered the game. Well, I got so overwhelmed with emotion that I sat down and tears started rolling down my face. Well, Jason's now in his first varsity basketball game. The first time he touches the ball, he gets the ball behind the three-point arc in the right corner. He lets it crow. The crowd stands in anticipation. It misses by like 6 feet. I kid people, I know you're not supposed to pray in the public schools, but I was praying hard. Please help him score one basket. Well, the next possession, which you don't see on any videos, he actually had a much shorter shot, and it missed, but it hit the rim and it hit the backboard. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, God's starting to listen. We're getting closer.
You pray again.
And the third possession, he had another three-pointer. And this time it was magic. It went in. The place exploded. I'm thinking to myself, God must be
a three-pointer.
And I'm thinking to myself, God must be a basketball fan. Not only has Jason scored, he's got a three-pointer. It can't get any better than this, right? Wrong. For the next 3 minutes, J-Mac turns into his boyhood idol, Kobe Bryant. And he starts making shot after shot after shot. And when the smoke had cleared, Jason had scored 20 points in less than 4 minutes,
wow,
including 6 3-pointers, and actually was our team's leading scorer for the game.
And there was 4 minutes left when you put him in.
Correct.
And he scored 20 points.
20 points, and actually it ended up being just over 3 minutes because in the first 45 seconds he didn't score. So
right. Unbelievable. And so, I've seen the video, and folks, if you haven't seen the video, go to CoachJimJohnson.com, and I've seen it numerous times, and I can't help anyway, cry every time. Tears of joy. I mean, it's just truly an amazing video, and just so impressive. And so, was this kind of pre-planned? Like you went into this game knowing that you were going to put him in at some point, if you were far enough ahead, we'll say?
Well, yeah. When I talked to him during the season, I said I was going to give him a uniform, and I couldn't guarantee, but my plan was I'd like to get him in sometime so you get a little bit of action. And the way it worked out, I was able to get in with about 4 minutes to go.
So that happened, and the place erupts. I remember, if I remember correctly from the video, they're carrying him on the shoulders, and it's just an amazing experience for everybody. And that was a pivotal, life-changing moment, not only for him but for you. Correct?
Mm-hmm, correct.
How did your life change after that moment?
Well, very quickly. I really believe I did it for the right reasons. I didn't have any media there. I did it because I thought it was a chance to do something special for a young man that was very special to me in our program. But one of my duties was after the game, I had to call to our local Democrat and Chronicle, our newspaper, and they did an article, and they actually gave us a headline, but it didn't say anything about J-Mac. It just said in the article a little bit. In fact, our headline was Trojans Tied for League Title, our team nickname. And so I didn't think it would go really anywhere, and I was fine with that, other than I was numb because of what I saw. I believed I lived a miracle. But the next day, Jason's speech pathologist, he had never come to a game, but he worked with Jason for 4 years, came and watched the game, and he was so touched. He actually called one of our local TV stations the next day at school, Channel 8, said, "You've got to come and borrow the tape from the coach. This is the best thing I've ever seen in sports." And they did, and it got such a nice response. The next day, we had 3 local TV stations come in. And then Channel 13's Mike Canelato called me and asked me if they could send it out. And he asked me, I said, if we could make an impact on the country, I think it would be wonderful. Quiet weekend, we were going in February break where our students were off, but now we were going to our postseason, that tournament we had never won. And I thought that's where it was going to end. Monday morning, I'm getting ready to go to practice, and the phone rings, and it's CBS Evening News, and they normally don't call the house. And they said, "Coach, we heard about the game." They came in and did a story. It was shown Thursday night, and then it just exploded. After that, the media attention was really intense. And of course, we're trying to prepare our team to win this first sectional title that I had never won as a coach. And the really neat thing is, despite all the media attention, all the trials and tribulations of trying to keep the team focused, a week and a half later, we were crowned champs for the first time as Section 5 champs. So.
Wow, wow, wow. What an incredible story. And here you are, just trying to be a good human, a kind soul, giving a break to a really positive, another kind soul who happens to be autistic. Let me put him in the game, make him feel special. And meanwhile, he changed lives, right? He changed lives. And from that point forward, it changed. Well, tell me, how did it change your life? How did you take that special, let's say, 3+ minutes, and take that experience to now you're retired, and
Right.
well, you've kind of packaged up that experience into really, I'll say, a service that is helping others to learn and grow and reach their potential. Tell us how you're using.
Yeah, so I really believe that God was sending a miracle to us, because there's still a lot of questions about people on the autism spectrum, and I think that was a real inspirational way that he could share that. So, and how it changed my life, certainly, I've met, President of the United States. I've been on Oprah. I mean, I've done some incredible things. I mean, the list could go on and on. And then I became an entrepreneur. I actually stayed on. I coached for 10 more years after that season. And JMAC actually came back and helped me for 9 of those. And we actually won 4 more championships together. So I kid people that for a small fee, I'll rent them out to you. What happened was that people started to ask me about the story. And so I started to speak to schools, businesses, colleges, associations, and I started a speech called Dreams Really Do Come True, where I talked about the story, and I talked about 6 keys to helping people make their dreams come true. And then 2 years ago, I decided that I wanted to speak full time, so I retired, and I have a small staff. I have a manager and a couple other people that work with me, and we developed other keynotes. I do a lot of leadership keynotes where I still share the JMAC story because people want to hear it, but I talk about 7 keys to being an effective leader. And so I've been mostly a keynote speaker. I do a little bit of consulting. And I do a little bit with workshops as well, and breakout sessions, that type of thing. But I've been mainly a keynote speaker. I have a book called A Coach and a Miracle that I released, and then I updated it and re-released it last year. I'm really proud of that. I wrote it with a local high school classmate that was a local TV or newspaper writer, and his name was Mike Latona, and ironically, he has 2 sons on the autism spectrum, so the JMAC story touched him deeply as well. So, I'm very proud of the book, and now I travel around the country. I do both locally and nationally. I got a chance to go out and do some work with Zappos, the shoe company. I actually helped with a promo video. Then I was out of town speaking in Pennsylvania Sunday to a college, and so this week I'm trying to catch back up because I have 2 more engagements next week. So, nice journey, and the ability. I call myself an inspirational leader. I try to inspire people and also give them ideas on how they can be a more effective leader. I share my journey from being fired from my first varsity jobs at 25 to fortunately at the end winning 6 championships and winning over 400 games as a coach. So.
Sweet revenge. And you
Yes,
were on
yes,
Oprah.
yes,
Sweet revenge,
exactly.
right? How do you think your life would have been different if that experience with
Well,
JMac didn't happen?
obviously that opened some doors. I will say that I had gotten really big in my own personal growth that was helping me as a person and as a teacher and a coach. So I was starting to think, I was doing a little bit of speaking in the basketball world. Was looking to try to do some speeches because I was starting to figure out how to inspire people and how to lead people. So I certainly don't think I would have been thrust in the speaking world as fast, but I may, because I ended up having quite a bit of success, still be doing some speaking. Who knows? It certainly did open some doors, and I'm very grateful that it has. It certainly wasn't my intent when I put them in the game, but I truly believe when you do good things, that more times than not, good things happen to you. So.
Well, it seems like a divine moment indeed, and it certainly seems like God enjoys basketball. So that's excellent. What are some of the things that you specifically do to in your speeches and in consulting work that you do to help say beginning to middle stage entrepreneurs? That's the majority of the Avanti Entrepreneur listeners. What are some of the things that you see they're struggling with, and what are some of the things that you do with your journey to help?
Well, I really focus now. One of my huge passions is leadership. And I believe whether you're running a one-person business, a small business, a medium-sized business, or the biggest business, or running an organization, a team, that it all starts and ends with leadership. And so I really talk about 7 keys to being a leader, and that I studied. And what I believe is that I've been able to share these because of 2 reasons. One, because I've done it as a leader, starting out very poorly to ending up having a lot of success. And secondly, because I'm very well read. I've read well over 1,000 books on leadership and success.
Wow.
So I've learned a lot from different businesses. And I got some ideas that I really believe in is that first, I think you have to know who you are as a leader. I call it clarifying your vision. I think, as the Bible says, people perish without vision. And I think that all starts with one of the challenges I have in my talks is I talk to people about their own personal mission statement. Why you put it on this earth? And what I found is when I got clarity about who I was, and that's one of the things, I have a very interactive talk on leadership, and I get people to think about, why would they put on this earth? And I give them some ideas like, what are your core values? And I share my mission statement. My mission statement is to be an outstanding role model that makes a positive difference in the world by helping others make their dreams come true. And what I really share with people in business is that you got to know who you are. And the first person you got to lead is yourself. And then secondly, once you do that, then you have to clarify, what is your business all about? What is your overall mission? And all this studying I've done of businesses, because it intrigues me why businesses are successful and why they fail, is they have an overarching purpose that is above profitability. If you study all the highly successful, yes, they are profitable because they don't stay in business, but they have an overarching mission that they live consistently. And that's where you have a team mission or a business mission that you got to live. And it's not just putting it up on the wall. It's really getting buy-in from your people that you're going to list consistently. Like, for example, I just did some work with Zappos, and one of the things they really are about is creating a wow moment for their customers. And a great question to ask all of us as entrepreneurs: how are you creating a wow for your clients? I think it's something to think about, and how can you do that consistently? And then the second thing I talk about is how to build trust in your team or organization. And I talk about 3 things. One, you got to say what you do and do what you say. Don't you hate people that say one thing and do a complete difference? It's hard to follow those types of leaders. I think you got to base your team in trust by telling the truth. I call it building a trust account, kind of like a bank account. And with one caveat, trust takes time to build up, but you can smash it with one poor decision. And then one other thing I think about building trust is changing your mindset. I think too often as leaders, we want to critique, which certainly is a part of leadership, But I think you got to change the mindset to catch people doing right more often and praise them specifically as soon as that happens, because you'll really build trust and build camaraderie of the team. So those are a couple that I do. Third thing I talk about is how to create an edge for your organization. I truly believe as a leader, you need to keep finding ways that you can create an edge. And one of the things that we did with our players is we taught them how to be goal setters. And we told them, when you think it, ink it. We talked about how to write out goals. And then we gave them some exercises. And that's something I do with my interactive keynotes, is I get them to write down their 3 most important goals. And I ask them to write them on index cards. With a couple other index cards, I ask them to put, I am responsible and I like myself. And so you're taking charge of your life, because that's how you build strength in you mentally to be an effective leader. So those are some of the things I talk about. Certainly I got more depending on how much time we have.
No, that's super fantastic. And, what really sticks with me is, the Bible verse you talked about. What'd you say? If there's no vision, you perish, right?
Right.
And then Earl Nightingale, the 40s and 50s and beyond, talked about that too. And essentially he said, you become what you think about, right? Most of the time you become what you think about. And that's very true. You have to have a vision. And I love that you're talking about, like, most successful entrepreneurs, business owners will have a very high level purpose of wanting to solve a problem, change the world, make an impact, make a difference. Of course, profits are important, but mixing the purpose with the profits are usually the ones that succeed well, right?
Correct.
Love that very much. And then you talked about how trust, integrity can go away, right? Just like that. And so years ago, I interviewed Paul Orfalea, who was I don't know, people don't know the name a lot, but he's the founder of Kinko's, right? Paul
okay.
Orfalea.
Yep.
And I asked to interview him for a magazine column I was writing, and he agreed only if I would come out to where he lives near Santa Barbara and speak at the class that he was teaching at the time. He's retired, and sure, I'll come out. Stayed at his house. He put me up. It was a wonderful experience.
Wow.
And I'll never forget what he said at the class. He's talking to the class about integrity and trust, and he literally says to this college class, he says, "It is exactly like virginity." And everyone's like, "What are you talking about, Paul?" And he says, "Once you sacrifice it, it's gone forever." And so, integrity, trust, and virginity have that all in common, right? Once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very hard to get it back. So,
right.
No. So, well, Jim, this has been super, super phenomenal. What I want to do is leave our audience with ways to get in touch with you. If they want to, learn more about you, if they, once again, you said your website, coachjimjohnson.com.
Correct.
They want to buy your books. How many books do you have? Do you have one book so far?
I just have one book. Yep. And it is on the website. You can purchase it there. It is on Amazon as well. So.
Okay. And the title of that book again?
A Coach in a Miracle.
A Coach in a Miracle.
Yep.
And if do you do any public events, or is it mostly for hire? Like if people want to see you speak, or maybe you have some speaking videos that they can see on your website as well?
Yeah, they do. And actually, I'm actually putting together a new video because I've kind of rebranded. I used to speak a lot in suits, and now I'm actually speaking in coaching attire. So
Cool.
I do have some of my older videos, and we're in the process of updating with some of my newer speeches. So yeah.
Do you have the whistle? Do you put the whistle around?
I do have the whistle. That's all part of the process for sure. So.
Excellent. What's it called when you spin the ball on your finger? Is there a name for that?
I don't have any particular thing. I can do it, but I don't know that there's actually a word for that.
I know there's a name for it. That's what I was going to ask you, if you can do it, though. So, what a great way to maybe come on stage of spinning the ball, right?
Right.
So, best way to get in touch with you, Jim? Coach,
CoachJimJohnson.com. I have a team. We'd love to work with you if we can support you in any way. And I'll give my email as well. It's jjhoops, JJHOOPS, like hoops, at rochester.rr.com.
Excellent, Coach. Hey, thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you back, I want to say, in November or February 15, 2006, for having the insight to really think about putting an autistic kid in the game and just to be a nice person and give him a special experience. And wow, were you and him and everybody rewarded with, once again, a tears of joy type of experience. score 20 points in around 3 minutes. Watch the video, folks. I'm telling you, go to his website, coachjimjohnson.com. Watch the video. If you don't shed some tears, then you are a psychopath. That's all I'm going to say. Or a robot. One of the two, because it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. So congratulations, Jim. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, David. I will say I've probably seen that video over 500 times, and I still get some tears in me. So
I'm telling you, right when we finish this interview, I'm going to go watch it again. All right. Well, thanks again, Jim, and thanks everybody, Avanti Entrepreneur listeners, for listening to the podcast and or our show that is on social media in a video form. So thank you for everybody for listening and being a part of the Avanti Entrepreneur movement. If you're interested in learning more about Avanti, we're starting Avanti peer advisory groups all over the country, all over the world. They're monthly, confidential advisory groups. Love to, teach you more about those, tell you more about those. Thanks again. Make sure to make it a great day. Check us out on the web, AvantiEntrepreneurGroup.com, and be sure to stay awesome.
Thank you for listening. Head over to AvantiEntrepreneurGroup.com for show notes and more helpful advice from entrepreneurs like you. Continue to find your entrepreneurial rhythm at the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast.